Welcome to China and Shanghai, the world's third largest city that has a population of over 24 million that sits astride the Yangtze River as the Longines Global Champion Tour comes to the fabulous Shanghai Equestrian International Centre, which boasts unrivaled facilities for horse, rider and spectators. Today, a stellar lineup of global equestrian superstars have assembled here, all aiming to take the coveted LGCT Grand Prix. Now in its 8th year, 12 months ago, it was a huge moment in the career of Belgium's Gilles Thomas as he lifted the trophy for his first Longines Global Champion Grand Prix win. This really is a magical venue for the Longines Global Champions Tour. And as I said, it was a magical moment in the career of Gilles Thomas, last year's winner here in this fabulous arena. And I'm delighted to say Gilles has joined me now for what was, Gilles, lovely to see you. Back here must bring back just wonderful, happy memories of a career-defining moment for you.
Yeah, exactly. It was my first ever Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix win. And then also with Luna, she's always been special for me. And last year I was very, very happy that I could give her that win because she really deserves it. She always fights for it. She does so much for me. And yeah, now we are back.
Explain that. Everyone looks for that sort of key horse that gives them the lift to the big time. Is she the one who's given you a passport to the big time?
Yeah, I think we can say that. She's now turning 14. Actually, we bred her ourselves with the co-owner of the mother. So we have her already a long, long time. So I know her inside out. She needed a bit more time as the other horses. But okay, I also was quite young, so we could build ourselves a bit together up. And then, yeah, I started to ride the globals. And then finally, after 2-3 years, I could give her the win.
Does she feel like a bit of a family pet then? If you see what I mean, that you've had her from early stage. That's that bond that you've known her from when she was so little.
Yeah, indeed. My uncle, my trainer, rode the mother. And then now I ride Luna. And then we also have some offsprings from Luna. So yeah, it's very nice that she's born at our place, so it's very nice.
She might be your pension fund. But I mean, look, when did you know that or feel that she has the ability to take you to, you know, the top table in the sport?
Oh, when she was young, it was actually difficult to say because she was very, very careful. But the scope was difficult to say. Her body needed a bit more time because yeah, she has a big body. And but then I think must be the first time actually that I rode her a 5-star Grand Prix was in Miami, also Global Champions Tour. I was straight on the podium, third. And from that moment, yeah, I really thought myself maybe one day I can give her a win.
How much has it done for your self-confidence then, knowing that you are now a winner on the Longines Global Champions Tour? Do you walk with a little extra self-confidence?
Yeah, actually, maybe, yeah. Because, yeah, before, if you go a bit farther away, a few years ago, you were watching the Global, and then once you're in, okay, you're riding it, but still winning a Global is not so easy. But once you have won it, you know that you're capable to do it, and that gives you actually, yeah, confidence, a bit more confidence. You believe a bit more in yourself, and yeah, that win was good for me.
And now, looking ahead to this afternoon, you look at this lineup, you now can say, I'm a winner. And looking down, because we do have an extraordinary strong field here this afternoon.
Yes, indeed. I think this year is a very strong group of horses and riders that travel to Shanghai. It's also because of, yeah, it's an amazing venue and it's good prize money. So I'm happy that I won already last year.
No one's won it back-to-back. Is your horse in the form that could give you that special moment to become, what, the first winner here in Shanghai to win it 2 years in a row?
Oh yeah, I gave her a bit of a break in the beginning of the year. And then I took her to Mexico. I didn't ride her in the Grand Prix, just actually to save her a bit for this Grand Prix. But yeah, I jumped her the second round of team class. She jumped very good. Also this morning when I rode her a bit on the flats, she feels very good. So it is possible.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll get to the jump off and then all to play for. Gilles, lovely to have you here in the studio ahead of what will be another big day for Gilles. But of course, this is round 3 of the Longines Global Champions Tour. The second round was in the spectacular city of Mexico. And let's take a look back at what happened at the end of March.
Christian Allman. Christian steadily down to the GMP Seguros Oxa. Christian now charges down to the skinny vertical. The home run, little collection on approach to the final fence, but that was sensationally good. Jens Sprayer sets off like a scalded cat down to the GMP Seguros Oxa. Sprayer Hot Easy comes down to the last fence. He's got time in their pocket. And yes, there it is. Goes ahead of Christian Allman, who's had so many. Late combination. Here we go, Jens Sprayer or Jérôme Guéry down to the final fence. Oh no. He loses time in the second half of the jump-off. But this man would also be a rookie winner. It would be his first win on the Global Champions Tour. Eyes up the time of Jens Sprayer, 43.31 to beat. Now runs for home. He sees a big distance and he gets it. And yes, I think so. 0.32 of a second is the winning margin.
Unbelievable feeling. My mare jumped just unbelievable. She won also the other day. She is naturally fast, so I thought that I take all the risk, and yeah, I was lucky, and I'm so happy.
You got it like that.
Yeah. Well, what a week it was in Mexico. So much color, so much flavor of Mexico, and Emmanuel Camili, big afternoon it was for him on round 2 of the Longines Global Champions Tour. Well, we've moved for round 3 here to Shanghai, a spectacular venue that was purpose-built. We had the first event here 12 months ago, which, of course, Gilles Thomas was the winner of in an epic Grand Prix. But it's not just about the front of house, which is getting ready for this afternoon's competition, and the enthusiastic local crowds that take part. It's actually the whole venue itself, which is really special. And it's what is provided behind the scenes that is also so good for horse and rider. And the person who's been taking a look at what goes on behind the scenes here in Shanghai is Dan Strange.
It's great to be back at the Shanghai Just International Equestrian Centre. This stunning venue, which is built in a unique way with the horse right at its heart. And we were lucky enough to be taken around on a tour by a person who knows it better than most people, and that's stable manager Patrick Borg. So, Patrick, being stable manager here in Shanghai, it's a massive undertaking. Just explain to us the facilities of these stables.
In China, we have amazing stables. We have 70 permanent stables, 3.40 m per 3.50 m each. Like you see, we have rubber mats everywhere. We have water points everywhere and plug for the electricity. So it's the most high level that we have actually for this kind of show.
And obviously, China, it's a warm country. Shanghai, it's a hot place, the temperature outside, but in here, temperature controlled.
Of course, of course. We control the temperature and the humidity in the stables, so we can have the good balance and the best for the horses. And like that, you can see the horses, they can sleep, they are so good, they are so happy.
Everything's thought through. The hay's flown in from Canada. The minute details that are thought about really are extraordinary.
The shavings come from this country. They learn to produce the shavings, and honestly, they are a really good product actually.
And when we say you're the stable manager, in real terms, you're managing a bubble to make sure that these horses are coming into the country safely and leaving the country safely as a group all the time.
So we have two flights with the horses, one with 49 and one with 50 horses. And after we have the local truck who wait the horses at the airport and come directly in the venue. All the GCT team, all pedant team, and everybody who work for this show have all time this concept in mind. So we create a bubble in Europe. This bubble come in Shanghai and go back, return to Europe. So like that, we never broke the quarantine for the horses.
Patrick, in the arena, when the horse is in the arena, the cameras, the spotlight's on the horse, but it's also the same, maybe not the spotlight, but the cameras in the stables too. Why does every stable have a camera?
Like that, we can check each horses. It's the most important that we have in our mind. We need to have under the control during the night, during the day, if we have any troubles. 2 times per day, we check the temperature of the horses, under the control of the vet and under the control of the custom, the Chinese custom, of course. For example, here we put the manure in the trash bag, and all this manure burn because they go out of the bubble, like I explained you. So, like that, to be sure that we don't have any contact inside of the bubble.
So Patrick, horse care is obviously paramount. Explain where we are here.
We are in the vet clinic. The vet clinic is in the stables area, under the bubble. We have an X-ray room, we have a surgery room. All is ready for the horses. This kind of show, we have 100 horses. We are 4 vets just for them. So 1 vet for 25 horses is just amazing.
Patrick, everything about here seems so calm and so relaxed. Just talk me through the design process and how it's developed.
The design for the horses are really impressive here. We have a big walk for the horses. We walk one way like a big roundabout. It's just amazing. The horses never cross. It's really safe for everybody.
And even down to the flowers and the way that's procured, it seems to be that it's made to make everyone happy, humans and equines too.
And it's beautiful. In plus, it's beautiful. It's really impressive. The architects make a really great job. And in plus, it looks just perfect.
It really is the most fabulous venue behind the scenes, and speaking to some of the riders here this week, they all just give it the big thumbs up in terms of the way the horses seem very relaxed and just enjoying the facilities. Nothing is left unturned for them to make sure that the horses are given 5-star treatment. Well, there's 5-star prize money here this week. There's no two ways about it for this Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix, with 620,000 euros up for grab this afternoon. With this world-class field, that it means it's going to be a really difficult one to win, but a coveted one. 155,000 euros to the winner. Well, the course has been built behind me. Peter Grant is the course builder here, and so far through the week he's provided some really good fun examinations and testing examinations, and I'm sure this afternoon it's going to be no different. Well, the man who's going to be describing the action for us this afternoon is Ed Holloway, who's out and about here at Shanghai to get a sample of this course. So, Ed, you've been watching all the Peter Grant courses closely this week. What do you think of the test that he's provided for this world-class field this afternoon?
Thank you, Rupert. Yes, this is a fascinating Grand Prix test here in Shanghai. It's a fearsome course in my overall assessment. There are 14 fences out on the track, and just behind me is the first fence. That is the Shanghai Snake Vertical, 153 tall. It's a serpentine start. It's quite a tight left-hander into 2. The LGCT Oxer. It's wide at 155, comes early. They then spin right-handed to the very tall Prague Playoff Vertical, 158 at 3. And a related distance comes pretty early. It's 3 strides down between the 2 verticals. Fence 4 is the Lao Feng Jiang vertical, 160. They then turn right-handed into the treble. It is very early again, 5 ABC. 160 the oxer's width into the line, 150 the middle oxer. So a real power question in and the mid parts. And then 159 leaving is the vertical. Alongside us here is fence number 6, and after a real scope combination is the Shanghai wall. That is very big, 160 tall and visually very attractive. It's then 5 strides down to the Just Sports Liverpool. That is fence number 7 just behind us, and 5 strides.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've just looked over to my shoulder and you probably can just see that fence that Ed was alluding to with that upright with the Shanghai skyline on it. That is a spectacular looking fence, and I'm sure will take some jumping. So it will be, I'm sure, a real test this afternoon that Peter Grant has decided. Ed Holloway, we just lost communications with him, but he will be describing the action this afternoon. I know he will be enjoying what he's going to be watching this afternoon, because this is a huge field in terms of previous winners out on the Longines Global Champions Tour. A stellar lineup. We have a field of 40, but look at the Roll of Honour who have tasted glory on the LGCT before, because it is a fabulous, stellar lineup of riders that have come to Shanghai to chase that 155,000 first prize. Looking there down the list, you can see Edwina Tobbs-Alexander, who's going so well on the standings. The man who, Gilles Thomas, of course, winning 12 months ago here. What a moment it was for the young Belgian. Dennis Lynch, who's currently leading the standings on the LGCT Grand Prix in this after 2 rounds so far. Some of the other big names who are taking part here, who've tasted success here. Looking down that list, you can see Marcus Enning, also Scott Brash, and also in there as well, and Max Kuhner. So it really will, and Ben Mayer, who is the top-ranked rider on the Longines rankings, who is competing here. We have 4 of the world's top 15 in this lineup as well, just to give you a sense of how strong. So Ed, we just know how strong it is. So your sense, though, let's just get a sense of, do you think there's going to be a lot of clears here, given what you've seen of this course and the test that Peter Grant has set?
Well, I'm just over the halfway point, Rupert, so we'll explain it a little bit more because it's riddled with questions. They've jumped the skinny vertical at 8. That is 163 tall. And then comes a second combination. It is the Keys double, 9A 159 into the line, 1 stride, out over a 160 wide oxer. This fence just ahead of us is fence 10, the Longines Global Champions Tour oxer, 165 wide. And then 4 strides down to the Bao Yun Liverpool, 161 tall, and they're not home yet. Right-handed to this huge triple bar, it's 2 meters wide. It's by the in-gate, that is the added difficulty. It's wide, and the horses could be distracted. And then brutal, really, because after the power fence, they then come down to the plank that is the penultimate fence 13. It's a very airy feeling fence as well. That will not be easy. And then left-handed to the final fence, that is the oxer at 14. 165 is the width of the Shanghai closing fence. And Victor Beddendorf has been out on his course walk. Victor, you had a brilliant end to last season, winning in Rome and then the Riyadh playoffs with Foxy de la Roque. What is your overall impression of the test from Peter Grant this afternoon?
Honestly, I was a bit afraid that it would be really massive and very high, but actually the course builder did a nice job. It's a long course, but it's not too heavy for the horse. I think it's really fair. It's a rider's course, so it's for the good riders. When they have a good day, it will be fine.
And Victor, highlight 2 points on the course for us that you think will be the most influential areas.
I think the triple combination is not that easy because we are not used to ride oxer, 2 strides and then vertical 1 stride. And then there's the skinny, the number 8, it's 5 strides, a bit long. And then especially I think the joker of the course, it's a bit the plank at the end. That's going to be quite tough for the riders to get a nice distance and to leave the plank on top.
And a quick word about Achuma, your new horse for this level this afternoon.
He's a machine. I think he maybe not be ready like Foxy was end of the year, but it's really a horse I count on a lot this year. So this week it's more to gain experience, and we never know, but I don't have the ambitions I had end of the season, but he will be there for sure this year.
Victor, you're a star. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
So yes, Rupert, that is the assessment of Victor Behlendorf. I think there's plenty out there. I think it's a fierce test. We will wait and see.
Thank you, Ed. Yes, and Victor Behlendorf, as Ed alluded to there, had such an amazing end of season. Different horse now, but then he's got one who's certainly got a big chance. Well, what about another rider who actually was a podium finisher last year in Shanghai, also won in Miami, and that is Irish rider Michael Duffy, and now he's with Dan Strange.
Third last year here in Shanghai, a seasonal debut though for 2025. Michael, first of all, how excited are you to be back on the Longines Global Champions Tour?
It's fantastic to be back again. It was my first time here last year, so we've had good memories, and I was placed well in the qualifier, so the horses seem on good form. He's a little rusty this year, Captain Moosh. It's only his second show this year. I didn't take him to the States at the start of the year, so he's entitled to be a little ring rusty, but he feels good, and as I say, he won a leg of it last year in Miami, so he's a very talented horse, and he's entitled to take his chance.
So the course, your reaction to it with what Peter Grant's laid down for you today?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a very good course. I think it's very fair. It's great to have a variety of course builders, and you can feel that here it's a bit different. I don't think it's too tough or killer or anything like that. I think it's plenty to jump. Don't get me wrong. I don't see there being 15 clear rounds either, but very fair. If you make a fault, it's your own fault. It's not down to the course being too difficult. It's very very trappy, clever course building, I'd say.
And in terms of the arena, it's not a tight arena, but how does it suit your horse if you get to the jump off?
Yeah, no, he's good. Like as I said, he won in Miami, which is small. Like he was clear in Basel in the World Cup, which is indoors. He's actually better on these rings than maybe a big grass ring, so grass arena. So he's good in these rings, and he should be all right.
Michael, best luck for today, and I hope it goes well for you and Clapton Moosh. Rupert, back to you in the studio.
Well, yeah, Michael Duffy, we wish him the best of luck. Talking there to Dan. Well, actually, we've had 2 rounds so far of the LGCT. Let's take a look at the way the rankings are shaping up. Now, of course, it's early stages in the season, and over the overall season, it's 8 events that count to the end. So really, until London, it's every score counts. But then when London comes, which is the 9th round of the series, then we get a clearer picture of how the season might start to work out. But early doors, it's Dennis Lynch who heads the top the standings with 2 consistent performances so far in Doha and Mexico. Edwina Tops Alexander sits in second. The 2 winners of this year's series, Emmanuel Camili and Abdel Sayed, sit in 3rd and 4th. But there's some big names there gathering in behind. Daniel Deusser, he's got to be a force to be reckoned with. And if you look down the starting list today, you actually could go to someone who's ranked down around about 20th, who might lead the rankings at the end of the day, Scott Brash. But that's the way the season has started, with Dennis Lynch putting in 2 very consistent performances. And he will be here in action this afternoon, hoping to consolidate his position at the top of the leaderboard. And so, yesterday, I had a chance to catch up with him and just sort of shoot the breeze with him about his sporting life here and how he's continuing to maintain his enthusiasm and obviously hoping to still be at the top of the tree come the end of the day. Dennis, lovely to see you here in Shanghai. It's my first visit here. I know you've travelled the globe, but this year, looking at the Longines Global Champions Tour standings, are you surprised to see yourself at the top after 2 rounds, and what admittedly has been 2 solid performances?
Not necessarily, it's just the beginning. But like I said, we used Brooklyn Heights in Doha. He jumped a good solid round, and we had Vistagon in Mexico. Also jumped a very good solid round, so no, it was by design.
And so back home now, what's going on? Is it your daughter then managing the horses that you have there maybe for the rest of the season? Is that how it works?
We have a very small team. You know, we don't have that many horses in work. We always have between maximum 10. So even the younger horses coming through, I will do myself or with my daughter, and so we keep it very small. The horses that maybe we have a smaller show again next week, so we have 1 or 2 newer horses in training, prepping them to see if they will step up, maybe around September, October time, you know, and then there's 1 or 2 other horses that we're already have a plan for them from Madrid, and so on and so on.
You've been part of the Longines Global Champions Tour for some time.
Since the beginning, I would say, Rupert,
since the beginning. Well, there's my point, because when you first started out on it, here we are, however many, nearly 20 years I think it is, or 20, that this tour would grow like it was, like it has, and you would still be, well, in this stage, leading the standings.
Well, first of all, you know, it goes back to the love for horse and riding horses, so that I'm obviously still very passionate about, and to try and stay at a good, decent level, which I've managed over the last 20 years, so I'm happy with that. And would you plan that far ahead? Not necessarily. I would always say as long as I can, you know, stay healthy enough and fit enough and have good horses, I really enjoy riding. You know, doing it here in Shanghai is an extra plus, or be it in Madrid or in Doha or Mexico, that's just incredible. But as I said, the daily work with horses, I really enjoy and love doing that.
Would you still, you're competing at the highest level. Is that what keeps you going?
No, definitely not. No, it's working with the horses, that's it.
So it wouldn't matter what level, as long as you were riding a horse, you wouldn't care?
More or less, yes.
And when was the first time you thought, I can't do anything else? Because I know you were involved in racing, which is a sport I've been involved with, but
yes.
you went different. When did you suddenly think, I can't do anything? What age were you saying?
I'd say around 13. That was it. I left school and started working with race horses. Actually originated in Ballydoyle. And yeah, that was it. There was no looking back.
Could you have been, no, you couldn't have been a flat jockey, with all due respect.
No, sadly that was my first passion, or to steeplechase, but in the end I was getting too tall. I think the first time I ever rode a show jumper, I was like 18 going 19, so I was quite late starting at it.
And then, did you find it easy, that transition?
Not really at the time, because it's obviously different work what you do with race horses, with jump horses, show jumpers. So it took me till about 2021 to really kind of cop on, and which I did, and then I kind of half got the knack of it, and I thought, all right, I've got to keep practicing at this.
The one thing in show jumping, people can go on. I mean, John Whittaker and others. Can you see yourself competing in the 60s?
I don't know about that. Like I said, as long as my body and will put up with it, and like I say, I still can give these younger guys a run for their money. I'm happy to keep going as long, you know, it also goes back to having good horses and good people around you, which I'm very lucky to have. So yeah, we'll see. We'll take it year by year.
What ambitions have you still got for the sport?
Actually, it's to stay competitive, and obviously championships, and also here to do well here for the tour.
That's what drives you. You just like winning and riding.
I would say yes. I'd be as hungry as I was as a 13-year-old. That hunger I still have.
But that takes some maintaining, because you can get cynical and think, oh God, I've got to do this again. But
no, never. You know, get in the gym every day, work out, try and stick with a decent diet, work your horse as well, and yeah.
Talk me through your gym routine then.
That's just exercises I would do on a daily basis to try and stay as fit as possible. It's between 15 and 20 minutes, just different core exercises and maybe a little bit of weights and stuff, but that's it, yeah.
Well, I'm exhausted talking to you. Dennis, it's been a great pleasure to catch up with you. Always a pleasure, and best of luck in the Grand Prix later today.
Thank you very much, Rupert.
Lovely to see Dennis in such relaxed mood, and we wish as well. I can tell you they're cranking up the volume here for the big crowd that are assembling for the Longines Global Champions Tour this afternoon. They know they're going to be in for something special. At the moment, we've got a couple of chaps leaping over fences for the crowd, which is quite a spectacular sort of sideshow anyway for the crowd. But what about the real deal? This start list is so good here this afternoon with all these former winners. As I mentioned, 4 out of the world's top 15. Ben Mayer, we've also got Max Kuhner. They've had a good week already here, enjoying themselves with a win in the Global Champions League. That was terrific on Friday, so they'll be hoping to go well. So many other big names as well. I know the course, having heard from both some of the riders and indeed from Ed Holloway, this is going to be a difficult track. Let's go and join Dan, because I know he's in the warm-up area and he's been sampling some of the flavour from some of the riders. Dan, this is the key moment. The tension is in the air. This volume is pretty loud out here, but for you down there, there's a sort of steely determination amongst the riders.
A steamy determination. There's almost a steaminess come around the arena. I think people are going to be ready to watch fourth out Andreas Scow, because he's so experienced. There's a lot of nervous faces, a lot of nervous riders. We've got Gilles Thomas just off camera here, last year's champion on Luna, and I asked Gilles earlier on, just moments ago, what he thought about today, and he said about the course, it's the same for everyone. Jana Frederica Meyer-Zimmermann, I spoke to her. She was incredibly thoughtful and took her time looking over the course. But the trend throughout today so far has just been this tension. 620,000 euros up for grabs across this LGCT Grand Prix here in Shanghai. It could go anywhere with so many LGCT former champions in the starting 40 today. Of course, no Henrik von Eckermann. He doesn't start today. So many high-class horses, so many high-class riders. Ines Joly goes, what, 5th? She won in Monaco last year. There are a lot of people who could win this Grand Prix. Rupert, the question is who? And the riders clearly don't know. And one thing to note, the jump-off lines are very tight, and clearly they're not sure.
Well, that is why I think we know we're in for something a little bit special here this afternoon, because this prize is a coveted one, and they will be really determined to win it, not only because they'd like to win, but also to join the illustrious Roll of Honour that we have here already. This is the 8th staging of the LGCT Grand Prix here in Shanghai, first staged in 2014. And looking at the Roll of Honour, there's some big names who have won it previously. Peter Devos, also Lorenzo De Luca won it in 2017. And then you look at Gregory Wathelet, he added the spoils, the Belgian rider in 2018. And after a gap of 5 years, it was another Belgian rider who grabbed the honours 12 months ago when they staged the Grand Prix for the first time in this purpose-built arena here in Shanghai. And I refer, of course, to Gilles Thomas, who we spoke to at the top of the programme, and he is determined to make a good show here this afternoon. And last year was on the podium along with Michael Duffy and Edwina Ops-Alexander. Well, they will all be looking forward to a big show here this afternoon. And I have to say, it's going to be so difficult. So many good combinations that we actually have here riding. And, you know, you look down, we start obviously with a Brazilian rider coming in, but in the early group of riders that we've got to keep an eye on because they've been going along nicely. I'd have to say Natalie Dean looks a very interesting contender. She's not riding her top horse, but she has been one of the keys to the Longines Global Champions Tour, is trying to give young riders a leg up on the equestrian ladder, and she's definitely taken full advantage with her performances on the tour, and she will be amongst the early starters. Another interesting name that you've got to keep an eye on, I think, is the sweet French rider Lara Triba. She had a good week earlier, and again, look forward to her. Other ones, young Thibaut Spitz, again, is always a name that's on people's things that could actually get into the mix, and will be one to keep an eye on. Amongst the early starters, remember, we have a field of 40. Then looking at some of the others, Zoe Conter will be in the early group. Some of the other names that will be out to make an impact here in the first group, Duarte Seabra and then Lorenzo De Luca trying to win here again for the second time. Can't be too far away. Now we have a little bit of a break, and then we start to get to some of the really big names who will be lining up. Daniel Deusser, got to respect him. He will be 23rd of the 40-strong field starting here this afternoon. Dennis Lynch leading on the top of the Longines Global Champions Tour standings. He will be going out as number 25, riding Brooklyn Heights, a horse that he would expect to go along very nicely. Elsewhere then, Victor Bettendorf, we heard just a few moments ago him talking to Ed Holloway, our commentator, about what he thought and thinks it could be a tricky one. Simon Deleste, one of the top world ranked number 6, he will be out number 31. And then towards the end we have again more big names: Max Kuhner, Ben Mayer, Scott Brash. That is a veritable who's who of equestrian talent that we will be looking forward to taking part here this afternoon. So don't go anywhere, because this is going to be a proper test. Look, the jump off I'm sure will be fast and furious, but you've got to get there first of all. You've got to jump clear. You've got to make sure you negotiate what is described as a fair but a demanding 160 track here in this Grand Prix. So will be fantastic. Really excited for this. I've been building up all weekend here in Shanghai. The crowd are ready. Let's get ready to rumble for round 3 of the LGCT.